Greetings to you. My name is Tara Brabazon. I'm the Dean of Graduate Research at Flinders University, and welcome to Vlog 44, selecting a journal for your article. This is an important topic. So you've done everything right. You've come up with a fantastic idea in your research plan. You've written that up into an article and you've placed attention on the research title of the journal article, the keywords and the abstract. So you're ready to go. What is the next stage? Yes, you are selecting a journal for that article. It is incredibly important, and a key question is, I think, is the decision that you make as a PhD student or an early career researcher about a journal, is that decision different from being a mid-career or a late career scholar? And the answer is absolutely yes. And the skills that we're going to talk about in the vlog this week are of use through your entire career. So for example, this coming Friday, I am sending off 3 journal articles, and I've got to work out this week which journals I'm going to send those articles to. So the skills that we're talking about today are of use through your entire career. But as always, I'm never ever going to tell you what to do. The point of this vlog is to present a series of arguments to you and a series of new research tools to help you select your journal. That's what we're doing today. And then once that information is in place for you, you can make your own mind up in terms of your particular discipline and your particular research goals. Now, in this series on journal articles, I was always going to present one vlog on the selection of journals because it is very controversial and it is also incredibly important. But it gained a bit of personal resonance in the last few weeks as I was doing the research writing up this vlog for you. A very good mate of mine who's a B-level academic in an Australian university had a journal article accepted, and she was terribly excited and I was excited for her. It had taken 2.5 years to move through refereeing from the point she sent it to the journal editor through to acceptance in referees. And can I say, it was accepted without referee change as well. It took 2.5 years. Bad enough, but then she said to me, Tara, it's going to take 3 years from this point to appear in the journal itself. And she was so excited. I wanted to be excited with her, and I was, but I was also incredibly desolate and upset for her and a bit stunned, to be frank, because in those next 3 years that it's going to take for that journal article to come out, I wanted her to apply for a senior lectureship. I wanted her to get that great article out and people to read it, people to cite it. And yet if it's not published, people can't read it, people can't cite it, people can't recognise how fabulous you are. So in this twilight zone between an article being accepted and an article being published, that's a dangerous, damaging space, particularly for PhD students and early career researchers, because you are competing with scholars who already have articles out in the public domain that are being read and are being cited. So as we talked about when we configured that research plan, and yes, the whiteboard's still behind me, when we configured that research plan, do you remember I said to you on your CV, please make sure you've got your headings in place where published research, research currently under review, and research currently being written. Have those 3 categories in place and ensure there's movement all the time. Now, for the articles that have already been accepted but publication is pending, I want you to put those articles under the published research with the bracket forthcoming, end of bracket. And I want you to approach the journal editors directly and state, thank you, I'm very excited to be publishing your journal. Can you please let me know the journal volume and number that I am going to be in? And then you add those details to your CV. Also, when you receive an email from the editor stating that you've been successfully moved through the refereeing process, keep that email. cut and paste it into a Word document, because there's all sorts of people like me who may end up your head of school or may end up on an appointment committee, and I will ask to see the confirmation email that that article has actually been accepted. So I won't take your word for it. Oh, the article has been accepted. I will need to see the proof. So make sure that you have the proof in place to show people like me. So as you can see, the reason why I'm so worried about getting your article out and moving it through refereeing is I know that I got a key job in my professional life because of the amount of publications I already had published. For my first key job, and it was the pivotal job of my life, a B-level tenured post that I'd applied for. Incredibly competitive, 370 people from around the world applied for this B-level post, and 2 people were shortlisted, and fortunately I was one of them. And of the 2 people that were shortlisted, I had 30 refereed articles already published and out in the public domain. And the other great woman who I was competing against, who's since become a very good friend, had 18 refereed articles published and 10 waiting, 10 under review. She was working in media policy, which particularly 10-15 years ago was incredibly slow in terms of the journals. Now, I got that job in a 3-2 split decision. So 5 members of the panel, 2 didn't want me, 3 did. I got that job. 1 year later, I won the award for the best teacher in the country, Prime Minister's Teaching Award, and so I validated that decision. That woman, can I say, also went on to a fantastic career, and she is now a professor. But I got that job, and the panel later told me, because I had the publications out and they could read them, whereas the other candidate, it was still pending, but it was very close. So remember, all job interviews are in the business of risk management. They need to know they're not taking a risk on you. They need to read your work. They need to see that you can be research productive without a head of school having to get a stick out and start a performance management process. They need to know you are a self-starter and you will hit the ground running and you'll be able to produce research. So before we start our concrete work on selecting a journal, I just wanted to raise the opportunity cost issue. So that is, please remember that if your research is not published, then that will have an impact on you in terms of shortlisting and in terms of promotion. So how do we select a journal for your article? Well, the first thing you have to do is make sure that you really understand your discipline. Now, in some disciplines, particularly the harder sciences, but also business, can I say, crucial, journal rankings are everything. Schmargo is everything. I've so often been the external on an appointment panel for business posts, from A-level academics right through to professors, and the Dean of Business has often been the chair of the panel, and this has happened around the world, and I've read the articles from the people who have been shortlisted. I've read them and said, look, that's a great article. And they say, oh, look, that was in a tier 3, that was in a C journal, that's not a good article. And I said, just read them. Read the C, read the A, you tell me which is the better article. But the point is, they don't bother reading the articles. They look at the journal ranking, and that is the proxy. So in business, it matters a lot. But there is an awareness, I think, that you are PhD students, and so that means in some ways you're given a pass. You're given a couple of years to get your groove thing together. And what I mean by that is you have a research plan. So you might move through the 3rd tier or C tier journals through to B, through to A. There is an awareness that as long as you have a research plan and you can explain it, that you'll be given a bit more of a pass than you would be applying for a B level or a C or a professorial post in the harder sciences or in business. But this is an inexact science, team. What I would say to you though is if you don't have any publications, you're not going to be shortlisted. You're competing with people who have 10, 20, 30. Also, if you hold out for a particular journal, you are going to be disappointed. So your number one priority is to get published. Pick a solid refereed journal and get through the refereeing process. That's the priority. You need to show your wares to prospective employers and consultancies if you're working with industry. And then once you've got something on your CV, we can start to make alternative arrangements. Therefore, let's look at the issues for your consideration when you are picking a journal for particular articles in your career. And please remember, there is no right and there is no wrong. The key is to spread your bets and allow your career to develop in a way that's not being held back by slow referee reports. There's no formula to get published, and editors within disciplines, let alone between disciplines, are incredibly different in their priorities. The only truth I would say is stay away from predatory publishers. Now, we did a whole vlog on this. If someone is asking you to pay to submit an article, go through refereeing or be published, do not do it. Do not do it. There's no need to do it. I'm 200 plus articles in. My husband Steve is 250 plus articles in. We have never ever paid to be published. So please be aware of the predatory issue and be aware of paying to write. There are a bunch of people as old as I am who still think that's a form of vanity publishing, and people like me are on panels that get you jobs. So let's list those key factors for you to consider when selecting a journal. Firstly, the biggest mistake that all scholars make, particularly early career researchers, is they simply submit to the wrong journal. They look at a title, they think the title might have something to do with their article, and they submit to it. So you don't read the scope of the journal, you don't read its aims, okay? Huge mistake. So it means you submit to the journal, and then some months later the editor may write you a one-line email and state, I'm sorry, we haven't sent this out to referees because this article has nothing to do with this journal. You've gained nothing and you've just simply wasted time. So how do you check the relevance of your article to that journal? Well, the first thing you do is you read the aims and the scope of the journal very, very carefully. And this is particularly important for our colleagues in applied science, clinical research, and our theoreticians out there, because you've got specific slices of journals that if you move outside of those journals, they won't even recognize what type of research you're doing. So in your search in those areas, do put a bit of attention to the word applied, clinical, and theoretical. And if you see that word, you know you're home. You know you've got a place where you can actually be understood. So as you can see, subject areas aren't always enough. And remember, if you've got a specialist genre of article, so a theorem, a systematic review, or a high theory abstract piece, you really have to make sure that you've found an audience and a journal that works with those genres. Particularly a big height of the crew working in creative-led research, so artifact exegesis research. I could do a whole vlog on that. I won't, because it's a very specialist small area. But through digitisation, particularly Web 2, there's a whole series of journals now that present the artifact and the exegesis in a really interesting way. I currently have an article with a journal under review that has an artifact and an exegesis. It's still going through review. I'll let you know how that goes. So if this is your area, artifact exegesis, get in touch with me more directly and we'll talk about specific strategies for you. Okay, so after you've worked through subject and approach, I want you to think about audience. I want you to read the articles in the journal and think about the audience that is also reading the articles in this journal. Has this audience got the literacy, got the vocabulary, got the knowledge that they would understand your journal article? Check also the references, your bibliography. Look at the journals that you've cited. Now, if you've cited those journals, the sense is that's also probably a good audience for your work. Now, really, once all that stuff's done, it's only at that point you start to consider prestige and impact. Impact is one of those factors that you can manage. There's a whole series of databases and algorithms that help you do that. But reputation is also more than impact. And another strategy I would recommend is if you have 3 or 4 key researchers in your field, people you admire, people who are ahead of the curve, and you know what these sort of people are like, then look where they're publishing. And sometimes they're working against impact because they're ahead. So look at the key researchers, the big deals in the field, look where they're publishing and use them as a role model. Also consider what you read. Look at the journals that you are reading at the moment, and that might also be a really great place for you, noting that editors love it when you cite their journal in your article. So again, start to house it in terms of if you've cited it, it might also be a home for the journal itself. The next variable, which is really the most important for you, I would argue, and less important when you get to my stage of my career, that is close to death, it's a really important personal requirement for you, is time to publication. You do need to get 3 to 5 articles out quickly, full stop. I wish I could pretty that up for you, but you need to get 3 to 5 articles out as quickly as you can. So when you're selecting a journal, please look at time to publication, and if that information is not available, ask the editor directly. Also, team, and this is a really important tip, for every article you have when you're working through and selecting a journal, at the point you're doing it, also have a plan B and a plan C. So when you're coming up with a journal, come up with 3. In our next vlog, we're going to talk about how to handle referee reports. And one of the ways to handle referee reports is take the emotion out. If you get a rejection, go, that's fine, no worries at all. Make any correction you see fit, send it to the next one. So at the point you're selecting a journal, select 2 or 3, and that will help you in the long term. We're trying to reduce the emotion here and make concrete, clear, logical decisions. So finally in this vlog, let's talk through some emerging services that are emerging right now online that can help you enormously in what you do. But I do need to start firstly with a warning for you. And that warning is about Elsevier journals. Now, firstly, they have a fantastic website that allows you to select a journal. You can put the keywords of your article into their database and it will summon the Elsevier journals that work in that area, their impact factor, the time to publication. It looks amazing. It is amazing. But the thing to recognise is Elsevier are doing that so that you don't publish with another corporation. So it is Elsevier focused. Now that may or may not be a concern for you. If it's not a concern, don't worry, enjoy Elsevier, rock and roll. But I do need to say to you, and this is an important warning, that there are many colleagues in Europe particularly who do not have any respect for Elsevier. So if you publish with Elsevier, there may be a consequence for you. So to help you make your decision, you may like to read the website www.costofknowledge.com. Recognise though that if you're thinking of a job in Europe, particularly the Scandinavian countries or Germany, they take this Elsevier issue very, very seriously. Okay, so let's go to something more positive and a brand new service that is emerging that I really do recommend, and that is www.journalguide.com. www.journalguide.com. Now this is great. This is an emerging database of journals. 46,000 journals are in the database, all disciplines. All sorts of filters are available for your consideration, so journals can be compared in terms of citation, in terms of time to publication. Now this looks great to me. So www.journalguide.com. They are an independent company. They're not a publisher. They're not a corporate journal. They're a fascinating combination of published researchers and software engineers. Bless, I bet they have great parties. Now it may go more corporate than it is at the moment, so do watch that. But at the moment, this looks great to me. So use it. Use this website. It's available. It looks terrific. I also want to put in a final note for the directory of open access journals. I use the directory of open access journals to place all my work. So with my 3 articles that I'm finishing off this week, I will go to the directory of open access journals on Thursday, which is our public holiday, and I will find 3 journals that suit those articles that are open access. So for me, I start every conversation with open access. Open access means everything to me. I am paid by the public purse. The public have a right to read my research without the use of a credit card. So when I do my search for journal articles, I start with my political beliefs, and that's just who I am. That's what's important to me. And also, importantly, if I have colleagues who are working in quite a difficult, complicated political area, and a lot of my colleagues around the world post-Trump are working in those areas, then I will support their work through my research. But again, I'm a senior scholar, and that's my choice. Your choices may be different, and that's terrific. So just remember, bottom line, when you're approaching a journal to see if it's useful for you, look for their aim, look for their scope. Has the journal published articles that are similar to yours? So after those restrictions, I want you to look at word length. Most articles 6,000 to 7,000 words to 8,000 to 9,000 words, but specialists, smaller articles do exist as well. So look at the length, that matters. Particularly some journals do not publish literature reviews or systematic reviews, so you are wasting time if you send those particular oeuvres or genres to those journals. Also, if that journal is making you pay to submit, to review or publish, step away from the vehicle. And finally, start to use these great new services that are becoming available, like Journal Guide and like the directory of open access journals. So this is exciting. This is an exciting moment of your life. You're about to share research with the world. And so get your research out there. You are special, you're important, and your research deserves an audience. As always, I wish you love, light, and peace. Tea out.